On behalf of the Work Better Now team, I'd like to welcome everybody to Working Better Now, a series on workbetternow.com featuring a Q&A with a very successful business leader. And today I could not be more thrilled to be joined by Jack Daly, legendary sales coach. Jack, thanks so much for joining us. You know, I've known you for a number of years and I think we've done some work together, but I've never had a chance to interview you and have this kind of discussion with you. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Rob, this should be a lot of fun. I can't wait for the questions. I have no idea what you're going to ask, but wherever we go, it will be fun and I suspect rewarding for people listening in.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. So I'm going to jump right in. Jack, tell us a little bit about your business today. We're going to get into your past a little bit as well.
Yeah, business today for the last 25 years, Rob. I've been traveling the globe as a professional speaker. That's my primary business, helping people scale their businesses. My specialty is sales management, and corporate culture. And so I address audiences from as small as 20 people to as large as into the many, many thousands. That's the core business. About 3.5 years ago, I launched a second business that I operate under the same Jack Daly, but it's CEO coaching. And I do that all over the world, but over the phone, helping business owners, entrepreneurs, and business leaders really scale their business. I don't look for clients looking for single digit growth. It's all about double digit, triple digit, and quadruple digit growth. And we're all capable of doing that as long as we let ourselves be freed from the things that put us in the way. Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing single digit about you, Jack. Jack, tell us, just so everybody can kind of paint the picture, tell us a little bit about your background, where you started in your career and kind of how that progressed to where you became that worldwide legendary speaker.
Yeah, so I'll try, even though it sounds like we're going to start really long ago, I'll make it as compressed as I can, but I can't leave out 7 years old. At 7 years old, Rob, I owned the market and charged twice the price of every kid I competed with. And I realized I loved sales from that moment on. At 12, I built a newspaper route that I took over from a kid that had it before. He had 32 customers. A year later, I had 275. Didn't like delivering papers. That was back in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. And we all know what the weather is like, whether it's real hot or real cold. And I came up with the idea of hiring 5 kids to deliver the papers for me. I kept 70% of the money. They got 30%. And the light went on and I said, I want to do this when I grow up. I want people to work for me and I'll make the money. And then I really latched on to something really cool. At 13 years old, while the kids were delivering the papers for me, I was a caddy at a private country club. And what I realized was guys that were playing, they were playing during the weekdays, they were playing on the weekends, they drove really upscale cars and lived in mansions. And I'm the oldest of 5 kids. I have a brother that's 3 years younger than I am. I don't think he ever got new clothes. He just got my hand-me-downs. That's the kind of family I grew up in. And I'm like, if I had a choice, I'd rather live a life like these guys than what my dad and we all are experiencing. And so I interviewed them while we were walking on the golf course. I wanted to know how they became successful, what they would do different, what would they tell a 13-year-old, blah, 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 blah. I did that in one summer in my 13th year with 200 members. And I want you to visualize coming off the golf course and going into the clubhouse for a bar, for a drink at the bar, and a guy sitting there going, hey, have you ever had a Daly kid carry your bag? Oh, yeah. Did he ask you the questions? And like it was a big joke at the club, and I didn't realize it at the time. Well, what I learned from a lot of those guys was this principle. You got to have goals. Don't pick too many. Make sure you write them down, put a date when you're going to get them done, and share them with as many people as possible because it put the pressure on you to get them done. So I picked 4 goals. I picked financial, professional, education, and family, and I visualized my true north, where I wanted to be when I got old, at 30, because at 13, 30 seemed like it was long, far away. And by the way, at 72, 30 seems far away today too. And I said, you know what? I look back at my life and I go, hey, I found out where I was and where I wanted to be. And now I just have to be linear and draw the line such that I'm elegant and efficient at going there. So here's the deal. Between 26 and 46 years old, I took a blank sheet of paper 6 different times. I sketched a business on it. I hired other people to help me build them. And we built 6 companies into national platforms in the United States. All 6 very fast growing on the top line, sales, and on the bottom line, profit. And at 46 years old, I lost my passion. And that's how I backed into the speaking business where I've been for the last 25 years.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Hey, Jack, here's a question I've never asked you, and I've never seen somebody else ask you, which is, what's a big obstacle that you had to overcome?
You know, keeping a joyous marriage together. When you pile on as much as I do in life, I met my wife Bonnie when I was 16 years old and she was 15, and we celebrated 52 years of a relationship together, 47 of them married. I lost her, as you know, to pancreatic cancer in 2017. But during that journey, I had a partner. Her name was Bonnie. We had 2 kids, and Melissa and Adam, and we wanted to live an exceptional family life while I embraced my entrepreneurial spirit, which, by the way, included living in 27 different homes in 47 years. And so, gosh, uprooting your kids, uprooting your wife, and as you know, I'm an endurance racer, doing mass quantities of marathons and Ironmans and triathlons. And when you add all of that in there, gosh, that's the big challenge. How many business owners do you know, and I know, who have built successful businesses, but their family life is sort of fractured or underperforming? So, that was the big challenge. How do I exercise what I want to do, where I'm passionate about my business, and yet still keep that nuclear family together in a joyous way?
Yeah, gotcha. Thanks for sharing that, Jack. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, as people who have seen the series before, this is really, we're going to talk about how do we work better now. For some people, it's technology. For different people, have different things. Jack, you work with so many people at a very high level. So, starting with CEOs, with the way business is today, what in general should CEOs be doing to work better now? And what are you seeing the best CEOs do today to work better?
Look, since I launched my CEO coaching business when Bonnie got diagnosed and I wanted to get off the road and stay home with her, I've gotten a real inside look at that owner, CEO, entrepreneur space. Even though I was one of them, when you're outside looking in, you really get to see it, right? Here's my general overview observation. Too involved in the day-to-day, too involved in the weeds, not delegating enough to the team that they have. You've got to let things go. I'll put up as the poster child of what I'm explaining, I'll put Richard Branson up there. In my lifetime, Sir Richard Branson has created an empire under Virgin of over 300 companies. But you would look at him and say, well, he's not certainly in the weeds of those businesses, but they are thriving. And he navigates where he needs to navigate. I mean, he was dealing in albums and records, in the early stages, and look at where he is today. But he's not involved in the day-to-day. So I say to my CEOs, look, I want you to focus on 3 things and just 3 things. Focus precedes success. Here's the 3 things. 1, get clarity of what your vision is. You can't get there unless you know what there is. And once you've got that magnetic, compelling vision, then you've got to share it proactively with conviction and with passion. And so vision becomes a big task of that leader. The second thing is key people in key spots. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see made is in the revenue generating area, because they go light on who's running the sales force. Many times I see small to medium sized companies where the business owner CEO wears the hat of that and the sales manager. Well, every moment you're being the CEO, you're not being the sales manager, which is how you grow sales. growing sales force in quantity and quality. So keep people in key spots and spend a lot of time making sure those people are there for execution. Richard Branson, I've been on stage with about 8 times, and he said, I was born with an entrepreneur advantage. And I said, how do you mean by that? And he said, I was dyslexic, which means anytime I get involved in the day-to-day, I muck it up. And so what's really important for me is to make sure that I staff my company with people that are actually going to run it and build it. And then the third ingredient that I want my CEO involved in is the culture of the company. You know, Peter Drucker said it better than me: culture eats strategy for breakfast. My way of saying it is, if you get the culture right, everything else gets easier in your company. And so culture is all about creating a business where your employees don't get up in the morning and moan and groan about having to go to work. They actually get up out of bed in the morning and say, hot damn, I get to go to work there. And if you could create that winning culture, you combine it with really good people leading your company, and you know where you're headed, that's your job.
That's awesome, Jack. Thanks for sharing. Now, if we go next in line, if we look at sales management, what should sales management be doing today to work better now? And what are some of the best sales managers doing today to work better now?
Well, the first thing they need to understand is what their job is. It is not to grow sales. A sales manager's job is to grow salespeople in quantity and quality. You see, I've got a strong ego. You know what? I don't back off of it. I earned it. And I am a damn good salesperson. But what I realize is I've got a real handicap. It's right here. It's hours of the day. I can only make so many calls, take so many calls, and write so many orders. But if I hire 5 people and teach them what I know, they'll outperform me. And what if it was 10, 20, 50? My largest sales force, Rob, it was 2,600 salespeople. You know, if I was the top salesperson in a 2,600 sales organization and I decided to leave, it wouldn't even be a ripple. But in most clients, they've got 5, 10 salespeople. They lost their top 1 or 2 salespeople. I mean, they're in trouble. And so as an entrepreneur, I said, I never want to get there, so I'm going to scale. So the sales manager's job in a very direct way is this. 1, make sure that the people that you currently have in those spots called sales, make sure that they're the ones that belong there. And usually what we find is a good third to a half of the entire sales team doesn't belong in the seats they're in. And I get the excuse that, well, I don't have anybody to fill the territory and somebody is better than nothing. That's not really true. You are doing yourself long-term and short-term damage by keeping a poor performer. So first order of business, clear out the deck. The second order of business is always be recruiting. I hear sales managers all the time, man, really tough to find good salespeople, really tough to find good salespeople. I say, are you looking? And they go, yeah. And I go, show me the list. And they don't have one. If you don't have a list, you're not looking. Hey, you know what? If you're looking for good salespeople and you're sitting in your office, I can tell you they're not under your desk. They're not behind the door. You have to be active in the market. So you have to understand what is the profile of what a good salesperson is, not the job description. Personal characteristics, attributes. I want somebody that is grit, has got work ethic, that is passionate, that is money hungry. That's what I'm looking for. I'll teach them the business. And so then build your list, build your profile, and then bring those people onto the team. Once you've brought them on the team, your job is then to coach them to the next level. If I have a sales guy, and I'll just pick a wild ass number. If I have a salesperson that's doing $1 million a year in sales, I want to have a conversation and say, hey, listen, Rob, where do you want to go with your business? Well, I'd like to take it to $1.5 million. And so I look at you and say, so you wouldn't be interested in going to $3 million a year in business? Well, I mean, yeah, 3 million sounds good to me, but that sounds impossible. Well, why don't we just take a crack at 3 million? Now, if I end up taking that guy from where he was at $1 million to 2.5, well, he's a whole million more than what he was thinking of originally. So that's what my job is. How can I teach my salespeople to take their business to another level?
Gotcha. Thanks, Jack. I want to just change topics just a little bit. I think I told you last time we spoke, I co-founded Work Better Now, which provides virtual assistants about 3 years ago. And when I remember sitting in a bar or restaurant in Portland, Oregon with my partner, and we're talking about the business, when we were just starting out. And I said, well, whenever we build our website, I said, we got to use this quote from this guy, Jack Daly, which tell me if I got this right. If you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. Did I get that right?
Yeah, if you don't have an assistant, you are one.
You are, right.
So that, we're all in the neighborhood there. But look, let's look at it this way. If we go all the way back to the newspaper story, at 13 years old, what do I have delivering the papers? 5 assistants, right? Here's the way I say it to the salespeople. There are things that need to be done in sales, but not necessarily done by the salesperson. The key, when we study the very top salespeople, they are maniacally focused on what we call HPAs, high payoff activities. And when we go into companies, we just take a very simple Ben Franklin analysis almost. We just take a single sheet of paper, divide a line down the middle. And on the left-hand side, we identify what are the HPAs. And so HPA, win new customers, grow the ones you got. Anything that you're doing that doesn't fit into one of those 2 buckets, win new customers, grow the ones you got, goes into the second column, which is other. What we go and find is that more than 50% of a salesperson's time is spent in the other column. And so what we say is identify that column and get rid of it. And you can get rid of it in a variety of different ways. You can give it to somebody else inside your company. You can you can hire somebody outside your company, or you could just stop doing it. But here's the beauty, and you have had the opportunity to run companies before, so have I. Here's the beauty. If you were able to take that more than 50% column and get rid of it from your salespeople, you arguably could double your sales without adding an additional salesperson. And so here I am as a speaker, and I'm in the top 1% of income earners in the Professional National Speakers Association worldwide. And I'm very active on social media, and people are wondering in the industry, how does he do all these things and still make the kind of money he's making? Well, I have no employees, but I have 5 assistants. And the only thing that I do in my business is I speak, I travel to where I speak, and I have fun. But I'm not doing all the things that the other competitors are doing, which are not the high payoff activities. I say, do that Ben Franklin analysis as a CEO, as a business owner. Do it as a sales manager, do it as a salesperson, do it as a COO, do it as a CMO. Every position in the company ought to look at that and say, what could I offload from my plate? You see, here's a simple way of looking at it. Everyone ought to know how much they make an hour, right? Even a 100% commission only person makes an hourly rate. So if you know what your hourly rate is, by the way, if you were 100% commission only, you just track how many hours you work every day for a month. You take the money you made that month divided by the hours, the hourly rate. If your hourly rate is $50 an hour, anything that's in that right-hand column called other that you could get done for less than 50, well, then you want to do that. It's a no-brainer. But here's the real beauty, Rob, is that if you do it at the CEO level, well, they're making more than $50 an hour. And then you look at this column of things that they're doing, and they could be getting it done for $40, $30, and they're making $500 or $1,000 an hour. It's like, what are you doing? And when I take on my coach clients, that's my expression. What are you doing? What are you doing with your time? We only have about 40 to 60 hours a week disposable to business. If you're running your life right, sleeping correctly, eating correctly, exercising correctly. So this 168 hours that everybody starts the week with, 24 hours times 7, gets diluted down, and we got this precious 40 to 60 to invest in our business. You better damn be sure that you're focused on the most important things.
That's right. It's funny when you did the math. Let's take a CEO whose time is worth $500 an hour. We've had discussions with CEOs like that. And you know what? It's really interesting. I say, well, who's doing your calendar right now? And they say, well, I am. I go, so you telling me you're paying somebody $500 an hour to do your calendar? I go, wait. Oh shoot. It's the same math. It's just from a different equation.
Look. In the speaker world, we got speakers doing their own travel. that my travel's 250,000 air miles typically when we're not in a pandemic. I
Right.
mean, it's ever changing. I've got hotels, I got airplanes, I got rental cars. I ran a $23 billion company, and now at 72 years old, I'm supposed to book my travel. I mean, they sell their books online. Well, they got them stored in their garage. Every day they get an order, they're out in the garage boxing up a book, and then they're putting a label on it that's a shipping label. Now they're in the packaging department. Then they put it in their car, take it down to UPS or FedEx. Now they're in the transportation. Then they run the credit card. Now they're a cashier. You think I'm doing any of that? All of those things, so much can be just pushed away to somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. Couldn't agree anymore, Jack. Jack, when you're not speaking and coaching CEOs, what do you like to do with your free time?
So I'm an exercise maniac. I've run 95 marathons, one in all 50 states, one in all the continents. I'm a major golfer. I've played 95 of the top 100 golf courses in the United States. I love to travel, not just for business, but for personal life. In 2019, I visited over 30 countries. And then on my website, jackdalysales.com, I publish my bucket list. And there's over 300 items on my bucket list with a wide diversity of stuff. Let me tell you a really funny anecdotal story. First of all, I recommend to everybody to have a bucket list. And I recommend that you let people know what's on it, because people come out of the woodwork to help you with the bucket list, right? So I get an email from a guy and he says, hey, I was on your website and I saw you got a bucket list. It says you want to fly a jet fighter plane. Have you got that done yet? And I said, no. The next email comes in. He says, here's a picture of a jet fighter plane the US Air Force sold me. It would disqualify. And I'm like, holy crap, absolutely. And so all we had to do is figure out when we could meet together. We met in Los Angeles. He lands his jet fighter plane. He hops out of it. He gives me a helmet. He puts me in behind him, and we're talking to each other. We go up and we do a bunch of barrel rolls and 360 and all this crazy stuff. And then he says to me, are you ready? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, you said you wanted to fly it. I'm going to give you the controls. And so just grab the toggle between your legs gently and we'll go. And I flew a jet fighter plane. But people can't help you achieve what you want to achieve in life if you don't know what you want to achieve in life and you don't publish it and let people know. So I've got all kinds of crazy stuff, and I'm going to use this as an opportunity to show how this works. I want to talk to you about a few things that I haven't gotten done on my bucket list. Maybe somebody listening and watching will say, hey, I can help you out there. So I want to carry the torch in the Olympics. I don't need to be the guy with the final lighting of it. I just need to be one of those guys for a tenth of the mile, making the torch go from place to place. Another thing is I want to meet a president, don't care which one, president of the United States in the Oval Office. And I also want to be on Air Force One, which I suspect whoever that president's going to be in the Oval Office will probably be my Air Force One guy. Those are three biggies for me that I'm really working on. On the golf side, I've played the #1 golf course in the world, which is Pine Valley outside of Philly in New Jersey, but I haven't knocked Augusta down. So that one's on the list as well, in case anybody is watching, listening, and would like to throw something in there for me.
Air Force One, President of the United States,
Torch on the Olympics.
the tour. Oh yeah, I really like that one. I'm totally envisioning you. You're visualizing it. I'm now visualizing. I can totally see. Hey, that's Jack. I can totally visualize that. Jack, how can people find out more about you, and repeat again where they can see your bucket list?
Yeah, so easiest thing is on my website. And by the way, my website is loaded up with free stuff. I've got magazines on there, 32 pages. It's called, the magazines are called Get Jack. There's all my workbooks for full day sessions, 50, 60 pages of content, free, everything. Like, just go there, jackdalysales.com. And Daly is DALY. jackdalysales.com. And quite frankly, if you want to get a hold of me personally, email is my best medium, and that is jack at jackdalysales.com. And just say that you were on the program here, and so I know where you're coming from, and ask me anything, and I'll come back to you within 24 hours.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I can't recommend to people enough to check out the site. Jack, remind me the name of the book that you did about 10 years ago. That was it was the book I was waiting for you to write. It really encapsulated so much of what you talk about.
Yeah, so I've written 9, and I actually have a 10th book in my publisher's hands right now that I'm very excited about. But the one that I think you're talking about is about 6 years ago, and it's called Hyper Sales Growth. And it's in audio, and I'm the audio guy, so I didn't outsource it to somebody. That thing was the #1 best-selling business book when it was released in its first week in 7 countries. We actually still have a difficult time keeping it stock at Amazon, and whoever is doing that work for me as the assistant when they go to my website. But it's been legendary in terms of being helpful to people.
Yeah, and also for everybody watching, if you get an opportunity, actually, I'll say it a little differently. Do whatever you have to do to see Jack, whether it's in a live event I don't know if you're doing any now or when that resumes, or one of these virtual events. See Jack a few times. Get your salespeople to see Jack. It's so amazing. It's not only inspirational, which I don't even know if you're really trying to inspire. You just kind of do it by accident. But the ideas that you share and the methodologies and the beliefs and really it's like a manual of how to be a business owner, how to be a top salesperson. It's really unbelievable. I can't speak about it enough. Please.
Thanks for that, Rob. I will tell people, look, it's all about elevating people's games for me these days. And let's leverage technology. You could go to my website. I probably have hundreds of 3 to 5 minute videos on there, all for free, content driven, right? It's something as simple as you could go to YouTube and just punch in Jack Daly money bag. And that one tactical thing could make a giant impact in your success as a salesperson. So, I'm all over the place in terms of being out there with resources and stuff. I also would tell you that in today's world, we moved from doing open to the public events and workshops live to going and doing them by way of virtual. And funny little story, 4 months ago, I ended up winning a Guinness World Record for addressing the largest audience ever in a business conference of 21,000 people virtually. So I've got this Guinness World Record certificate. But on my website, we list all the virtual workshops that we've got scheduled this year. We've got, I think, somewhere in the 20 to 25. I did one yesterday. We must have had 4 or 5 countries represented, and then a whole heck of a lot of people from the States.
Fantastic. Jack, thanks so much on behalf of the Work Better Now team. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes with us. And,
you betcha. And you guys are up to really good things. When I think about how my whole life I have leveraged assistance and outsourcing the work that I shouldn't or didn't want to do.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks for that. And we'll see you soon. Thanks everybody for watching.